Drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm talking about myself. I love everything Dan Campbell's doing. The grit stuff I buy into, the speaking turnovers into existence I buy into, the fact that he seems to truly believe in Jared Goff, and it makes Jared Goff believe in himself so much that he says things like, I thought he played pretty well in the game. He threw 5 interceptions. Like, I'm all in. I love what the Lions are doing, and...
Oh.
Wild.
We got to talk about this.
What? Wild.
Flirting with these takes.
Yeah, the Lions to the Super Bowl take.
Yeah.
That coach is sitting next to.
Yeah.
Sitting next to. We've been married for months.
Yeah, you have. And I scented a dirty martini down, slid down at the end of the bar.
Extra dirty.
Yeah, extra dirty. Is this the year?
Wow. Okay. You heard it first. You heard it from him, Nick Wright. Detroit Lions are going to the Super Bowl. Now, you're probably wondering, though, but wait, how are they then below the Buffalo Bills? And below, we know he's going to be below the Kansas City Chiefs. Well, here we go. We got Coach Mangini's got your back. Don't worry.
It's the reason that they're where they are. But Detroit should be higher than the Bills. And then let's just take a look at the strength of schedule. Let's take a look at their strength of schedule and their success rate. I don't know if we have that available or not. There we go. Strength of wins, Bills 355, Lions 514. Strength of schedule, Lions way ahead of the Bills there as well. And then if we just look what's happened here, they're in the 7-game win streak. Okay, first in points per game, point per game differential, takeaways, all that's great. But let's look at some things that we're not going to look at it, but this 7-game win streak is the best since 1995, 29 years. 8-1 record, best since 1954. I think that's 70 years. You can do the math. And they're also on a 5-game road streak. So everything that they've done is better than the Bills, but yet because the Bills are playing the Chiefs, we got to put them above. So in case they beat
like
the Chiefs.
that Lions game, you're like this.
Yeah, I mean that's.
Know what I like about the Lions game? Is with as bad as it was, they found a way to win. Yeah. Kind of like blocking a field goal at the end of the game. You got to give them respect for it.
Coach. So here's the thing, as you should know. And
this is a rich tapestry. Remember
as you very well know. There's not only are there no biases on the tiers, we have a full committee to ensure that that wouldn't happen. And the idea that I need to artificially inflate the Bills when this 30 million people are going to watch the game this weekend, and it is being billed as one of, it just is, as far as teams with their this deep into the season, this few of losses. It's the first time that's happened in 6 years since actually the 9-1 Chiefs played the 9-1 Rams on Monday Night Football in that 54-51 game. So that's, I mean, that's nonsense.
I guess now watching the game makes the team. That's why they're better than Detroit.
No, listen.
People are watching the game.
Here's the thing.
Okay.
You, Coach did something this year that he's never done before.
What?
Made preseason picks. And he told us, he was like, all my time doing TV, I've never had to do that. And now he's really feeling the repercussions of it. He didn't want to give up on the.
That's
please,
horrible.
Hold on.
Third.
No, it's not about the Lions. It's about your skepticism of Buffalo. Because Buffalo checks every box that you would like. They had faith in their coach. They have a great quarterback, a force multiplier.
All right, well, he's going to talk about the Bills. Now, I want to talk about the Lions. Listen, the Detroit Lions, everything that they've done this season, strength of schedule, wins, all that type of stuff, point differential, all that, puts them ahead of the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills. This isn't just about the Lions needing to be above the Bills. This is showing that the Lions are indeed the best team in the NFL. Now, listen, do we want, I'm not going to just keep doing this. This is not a prediction of who's going to win the Super Bowl. This isn't saying, hey, if the Chiefs played the Bills, or if the Chiefs played the Lions, and Andy Reid would be able to outcoach Dan Campbell, yada, yada, yada. All that stuff is technically relevant and honestly, technically fair game to discuss. I do believe that. I'm trying to get the stats here. So I do. I think that really is totally kind of fair to discuss. But when we're trying to figure out who is the best team right now, who is playing the best, because this is why this is the tiers. This isn't Super Bowl prediction ranking system. This is which team is the best team right now. And the answer is the Detroit Lions. There's no other way to slice it. I've already completely dissected in a previous video about how people are trying to act like their defense is this big liability, which I don't think it is. Is it their strongest point of their game? No. And is their offense so insanely dominant, right? 34.6 points per game, which is just insane. Points per game differential, first, 15.9, insane. Takeaways, tied for first, 16, insane. And I know this is just during just the 7-game stretch. I get it. The 7-game win streak. But, like, this is elite football. This isn't a fluke. This isn't a fluke. I saw in another clip on a different show. I was debating whether or not to do it or not. But they were pretty much like, oh, Jared Goff's 5-interception game is proof that he's holding this team back. And it's like, are we serious? Are we serious? Like, that outlier game is proof of who he is and him holding back. Not his other games where he's going, like, perfect completion, you know, like going 100%, 18 for 18, 14 for 15, 12 for 12, whatever the numbers exactly were. Like, none of those games. Those games were outliers. But the 5-interception game, the bad game that he had, was more representation of who he is. Okay, sure. Whatever you say. And it's just like the doubting of the Lions. I feel as though if the Lions were, and I don't even mean this from like what Lamar Jackson, the Baltimore Ravens have done recently standpoint. But I feel as though if this team was the Baltimore Ravens, the Philadelphia Eagles, even the LA Rams, the 49ers, there would be way more belief in them. But it's the fact that we saw what the Lions have done for the last 25, 30 years. And the last measure, the last moment of like true high level of success we saw them have was in the NFC Championship game, and they lost, right? They were not able to obviously come away with that win. People blame Dan Campbell, whatever. I'm not here to necessarily unpack that again. That at this point, that was months ago, obviously, right? Nearly a year ago. But because of all of that, there's still a lack of belief in who the Lions are. And it's why people have such an insane belief with who the Kansas City Chiefs are. Because they've won the last 2 Super Bowls. And I keep fighting with Chiefs fans about this. It's a losing battle. It's a losing fight. What you did in 22 means nothing to me. Yes, to a degree, we could say, hey, they know how to win. I get it. You have that confidence, and it does technically mean something. So I shouldn't say it means nothing. Because you know what Andy Reid and Mahomes and all these guys can bring to the table. We know that. We do have that awareness. But that does not outweigh the quality of play that you're seeing from season to season. It's a different team, you're playing different teams, different rosters. Like, everything is different. It's not the same. So comparing the Lions to even just what they did last year is irrelevant to me. What they did 20 years ago is especially irrelevant to me. Patrick Mahomes' ability to win a Super Bowl in 2019 means nothing to me. Nothing to me. So this extra doubt that we throw on the Detroit Lions and the extra belief that we have on the Kansas City Chiefs, they're both just way too inflated. Way too inflated. It means something to a degree. If we constantly see Dan Campbell come up short and have terrible game management in the playoffs, and if we constantly see Andy Reid do nothing but just genius, and he's proven to be unbeatable. And same thing with Mahomes. But we know those things aren't true. We know it's not true. And again, I take back what I said where I said it means nothing. It has some weight, but not as much as people are trying to act like it does. When I'm truly trying to evaluate, can the Kansas City Chiefs win a Super Bowl this year? Yes. Using the pedigree of what Andy Reid can do and Patrick Mahomes and Spags and all that, that means something to me. Evaluating what this team is today in the NFL team tiers, what they did in 22 and 23 means nothing to me. What the Lions did in 23, 22, 21, whatever, means nothing to me. I'm looking at it to what do they look like today. That's what I was trying to say when I was like, it matters, but it doesn't. I had to like work that out. So hopefully you're able to follow. I apologize for any confusion. So that's what I kind of take issue with more than anything. The Lions are the best team in the NFL. If you want to argue that they're not the most likely to win the Super Bowl, I'm way more open to that conversation than I am about saying that they're not the best team. They are without a doubt the best team. The Kansas City Chiefs are not better than them, and the Buffalo Bills are not better than them. And especially if we're going to use history, because that's what we're using. Because if the Kansas City Chiefs, if we weren't using the Chiefs' history as a reference point, no one, even though they're undefeated, no one would think that the Chiefs are the number one team. They just wouldn't. And so if we're using history as a reference point then to help dictate where we put these teams, what has Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills been able to prove in the playoffs necessarily? And for the record, I obviously defend the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen. But again, if we're just using a reference point of history as well, they haven't done enough to put them ahead of the Detroit Lions. Sean McDermott certainly hasn't as a head coach. All of their other weapons for that team haven't. If anything, they have more players that have been to the AFC to an NFC championship game than the Bills players have gone to an AFC championship game. So no matter how you slice it, it just doesn't make sense. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Detroit Lions being below the Chiefs and the Bills? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.